Good, and you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Can't complain. Can't complain. Looks like we got a few people still joining, still adding here. All right, it's kind of stopped in terms of the people joining the room. So if anybody else joins after, I'll just continue to add. But again, good morning. We thank you everybody for joining our monthly safety call. We definitely appreciate your efforts so far this year. It's amazing how quickly the year is already flying by each week and month. Already wrapping up April here, going into May and getting into the summer months. And so we hope that we can still maintain the safety awareness and attention to details because the summertime can is usually an interesting time of year just because I think a lot of people relax, a lot more people out on the road traveling for vacations, and more traffic and all that kind of good stuff. But um, still got to focus on the things that we can control and increase our chances of not having accidents. So we're gonna hop into the meat of the call today. We're talking about distracted driving. We got David here who's gonna give us some good information, and then we'll show a couple videos afterwards. And then if there's any questions along the way or comments, feel free to interject. All right, David.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Um,
More.
talk about distracted driving, and distracted driving is probably one of the most critical issues in terms of defensive driving and safe driving. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, about 25% of the crashes that are police report due to driver distraction. So what is a distraction? A distraction is anything that you do or say or whatever that takes your mind off of driving truck, and that can include a bunch of things. Any activity that takes your focus away. For instance, there's reading, listening to a book, watching, believe it or not, watching television or listening to a television program on your the radio, texting, talking on the telephone, even if you are using the not handheld devices, talking on the phone requires you to think outside what it is you're doing. Okay. This can be changing the cassette, changing the radio, eating a cheeseburger, reading a map, anything that you do, even putting a pencil down or a pen down, looking down at your at a gauge or something. Any of these things can be a distraction. I think I've talked to you guys before about multitasking. That no such thing as multitasking, where you can do two things at once. Your brain cannot operate that way. What happens is you switch back and forth between the two or three. You're doing three things. Your mind goes one to the other in seconds or microseconds, even between one or the other, just back and forth. But what can happen is something critical can happen in one of those other areas, and you get distracted by it, and you're paying attention to the one thing that you shouldn't be paying attention to instead of the thing that you should be paying attention to. Like for instance, listening to a book on tape. Okay, you can get involved in a book on tape to the point where you're not paying attention to what's going on. And And I will give you an example, that my own personal example. I was driving on the 40 through New Mexico, and I was listening to this book about this character that was, he was actually a monster, but he was in the shape of a man, and he was robbing and killing on the 40. And as I was going through one of the towns, San Juan, I think it was, New Mexico, the character in the book was going through San Juan on his way to Los Angeles. And I literally stopped and looked around to see if he was coming. So that's a personal thing. And I went, wow, really? I was that involved in the story that I was looking outside my window to see this character come by. So that's the thing about distractions. You got to be really careful. One of the things that I teach to drivers is, if you're going to do something that is necessary but you don't want to stop, make sure that you are on protected surroundings, that there's no vehicles around you, you're not near an off-ramp or an on-ramp, and that you have a straight straightaway ahead of you and your following distance is increased. So you're driving along, you look to see if there's anybody around. Are you near an off-ramp or an on-ramp? No, I'm not. Is it straight? Is the road straight ahead of me? Yes, the road is straight. Is there any curves? No turns? Do I have a good following distance? Now, if you want to change the radio station, you change the radio station then. Because you're taking your mind off your driving, but you've secured the area all of it around you about all the possibilities so that you don't have a problem with doing that activity. This one of the other things, going through like a work zone. You really have to pay attention going through a work zone. So the people that are out there working, they're not paying attention to you. They're doing what they're doing. But other drivers may not be paying attention, and they may not be slowing down. They may not be moving over. I think I've talked to you guys about the move over laws that 19 states have passed now, that you see an emergency vehicle, you have to pull over. People aren't paying attention. You have to pay attention. So if you're going to do any activity that going to take your mind off of that, don't do it until you're clear. So what can you do to avoid distractions? One of the things is to keep your hands on the wheels and your eyes on the road. When I have new drivers come on with me, one of the things that I ask them after they've been out for the first week or so is, how is your neck? And if they tell me their neck is sore, then I know that they're doing a good job, because they're supposed to be checking those mirrors every 10 to 15 seconds. And if you're not used to doing that, your neck will be sore after the first week. It takes a while to get into that. If they tell me there's nothing wrong with their neck, now I know that I have to coach them into looking at the mirror, paying attention to what you're doing. Okay. The other thing, the cell phone, even with a hands-free device, if you have to make a phone call, pull off the road. Don't talk on the phone. I have had experience with drivers who, in order to stay awake, they call their wife or their girlfriend or their brother or somebody in the family and talk for 6 hours while they're driving down the road. That's the same issue. You're distracted from what it is you're doing. And I will give an example of that. I had a driver who ran into the back of this was at night, he ran into back of a trailer that was being towed by a pickup truck. Now, there were no lights on the trailer. And he was talking on the phone, and before he knew it, he was up on the trailer, hit the back of the trailer, and obviously caused some damage to the trailer and the pickup truck. But that was because he was on the phone. And he was using a handheld device, but it was not a good idea to be talking continuously. I asked the family members of my drivers to not call the driver while they're on the road, except when they're on break. And if they have something that is an issue that the driver can't do anything about, but it's a serious issue, call us, and I will make sure that they get that information. But I don't want them on the road with their head in a different place. Okay. Pull over if you're going to drink or eat. Now, I know that some drivers snack while they drive. And again, that's one of those issues. You can have your snack bag sitting over there or your sipper cup there, and every once in a while you reach for it. But again, when you do that, you reach for your snack bag, snacks, or your water, make sure that everything around you is clear. Choosing the kind of music that you're on the road before you get on the road, so you have to change your stations while you're going down the road, or get your audiobook collections and your favorite CDs or whatever it is you're going to be listening to. Get it set before when you make your shift change. Get it in there so that you don't have to make those changes while you're going down the road. Driving defensively, because you may not be distracted, but many drivers are distracted. When I was on my way, right now I'm at the terminal going over my trucks because they're here on Mondays. On my way here, I must have spotted probably 20, 22, maybe 23 people on their cell phones. And usually you can tell who's on your cell phone because the truck, the car, the truck, pickup truck, they're slow and they're fast. They're slow and they're fast. They weave in the lane. They don't stay in the center of the lane. They go back and forth, or they just go a lot slower than traffic. Traffic is doing 65. They're doing 55 maybe. These people are doing something that's distracting them. They're slowing down because they know they're doing something that's other than driving, and that's distraction. So you need to be doing that too. Avoid gawking, which is if there's something on the side of the road, like accidents, or somebody walking on the side of the road, or some activity where people are switching drivers on the side of the road. Avoid looking at those, and that's especially significant for us because you have to pay attention now, because you know that other people on the road are going to be looking.
David, you still there? David, you still there? Sorry, guys. 1 second. Having a little technical difficulties here.
Someone was calling on that line. So the other thing you can do is to, believe it or not, get plenty of sleep before you come on the job. Get rest, relax, take it easy. Now you're not distracted. You're rested, you're relaxed. You can actually do your job without too many issues. That's all I have on distractions. Anybody have any questions?
If anybody has any questions, just unmute yourself. Okay. I think that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Be safe out there, guys. Be safe.
Yeah, I want to show a couple videos as well to go in conjunction with David was saying. You know, this topic is this is one of those topics, probably along with seatbelts, that will always be one of the major cause for concerns in the transportation industry. Um, just because as technology advances, you know, trucks get easier to drive, more distractions out there, that it's going to be harder for drivers to focus. And then too, I think in our society, it's harder for us to focus on one thing in a long period of time, just because our minds are constantly going. And technology makes things easier and more efficient, but then it also could add a situation where it puts other things at risk, like professional drivers, from cell phones and how easy they are to operate. Um, and like I was even thinking about one of the things that David mentioned about, trying to find a podcast while you're driving and trying to go through that library of titles, and you got one hand on the wheel, one hand on your phone, and your eyes are going back and forth from um, your phone to the road, your phone to the road. And sometimes you probably can look back and think, man, I don't even remember driving the last 3 or 4 miles, just because your mind was so into something else. Or man, I drive this particular route, every week, and I don't even remember, you know, driving past a particular landmark or through a particular passing a particular exit because your mind was somewhere else. So just keep these things in mind, that it's not just one of those topics where we just talk about it just because it's one of those requirements, but we talk about it because it's becoming one of those subjects where it's causing the most accidents, the most deaths, and it's not just the public, but also just professional drivers in the transportation industry. Um, so that's very important. You'll always hear us talking about it, every probably couple months, it seems. So don't take it as, I've heard this before, but look at ways to evaluate, yourself, and then, making changes along the way. Sometimes, especially those drivers, like there's a lot of statistics out there of drivers who drive more than, 15, 20 years, how um, since they're the most comfortable at what they're doing and they're the most experienced, that they're actually some of the worst drivers because they take a lot more chances, a lot more risks, because they're so used to going a particular route. They're so familiar with the truck that, to reach over and grab, that bag of chips that fell on the floor or do whatever, that risk will be taken just because, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. So evaluate those types of things, take those types of actions out of your behavior, just because it's getting more and more risky, in terms of just these accidents that occur, these incidents that occur. And um it's, and then too, you got the opportunist driver out there that will, they see you out there, they'll try to come and get into an accident with you just so they could try to get money or sue or whatever. But you got a lot to pay attention to and be focused on. So keep those things in mind. We'll always be talking about distracted driving and seatbelt usage, because these are so important to all the drivers in this industry.
Aaron,
Yep.
can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have, you guys don't know my credentials, but I was the vice chairman and the chairman of the American Truckers Association Accident Review Committee. It's the same company that FedEx belongs to, but I'm also a member myself. I received the National Safety Award for Safety Manager of the Year for mileage that I have. So I'm familiar with, I've probably reviewed a few hundred accidents. What I find is that there are three categories of drivers who have accidents. One, there's the new people who don't know, they're not experienced enough, and they have accidents. Then again, at 5 years, they have accidents because they say, hey, 5 years, I got this. I know what I'm doing. Everything's okay. With my 5 years, I'm good. The next category is 15 years. 15 years is what Aaron just, they've been doing this so long, it's like not even, it's like you don't even think about it, like it's like breathing. Don't do that. And I wanted to talk about this because I have a driver who has been with me for 16 years. In the last year, he has done two things that just blow my mind. One, he forgot to lower the trailer, and he went under the kingpin and tore the fairing off the back of the truck. Okay. The second thing is, there was a truck in front of him, and I have the video of it. There was a truck in front of him that drifted over and hit his mirror. But I also have the video of him inside the cab. He was not paying attention, because if he'd saw the truck drift over he had a long time, and he had room on his left to move over, and he didn't. He just was not paying attention. So, new drivers, 5 years and 15 years are critical. And I had to have a long conversation with him about that. You've got to start paying attention more. Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to show this video. I got two of them. They're pretty short videos, just kind of illustrate our points that we've been trying to make this morning. Hopefully, if this is one of you drivers, in terms of example, hopefully those behaviors will stop after today's call and just see how important, distracted driving really is. All right. This is an interesting video. I counted maybe 12 times in that 45 seconds that he looked down. He looked down at his bag back at the road about 12 different times. And then at the end, of course, he ran out. It looks like he ran off the road and probably got stuck or something like that. But while he's handling the bag, amazing that he would take that chance. And he took his seatbelt off as well to try to reach for it. Interesting for sure. Here's another one.
Tonight emerging from the video of a commercial trucker driving off an overpass on I-75 because he was distracted by his cell phone. ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska live tonight with more on the company. And Michael, I know that you've just uncovered a history of citations for similar violations, right?
Wendy, after we went online, we did go and we saw that this company has actually been cited 9 times for drivers using their cell phones behind the wheels, driving these huge Mack trucks you see behind me. They've also been involved in a couple of fatality crashes in the past couple of years as well. Investigators say dash cam video from inside the cab and outside shows Samuel Colon moments before he drove off the Interstate 75 ramp and onto Fowler Avenue below. Looking at the pictures from last week's crash would make you think the driver of the heavy dump truck didn't survive, but Colon did. Florida Highway Patrol investigators say he was a very lucky man. Hey, Mr. Colon. Hey, I work with ABC Action News. We tried talking to Colon tonight, but we were told to leave the property. According to FHP, another driver cut off Colon, which contributed to the crash. But because he was looking at his phone, Colon couldn't react in time. Online statistics from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration shows that Soil Tech distributors based out of Tampa have been cited 9 times for drivers using cell phones. 11 times for them not wearing seatbelts, and 9 times for speeding. For Soil Tech distributors, after 3 violations, the penalty jumps to $11,000 a citation. And for Cologne, that citation is a lot lower, $500 for the first one using your cell phone behind the wheel. Florida Highway Patrol tell us tonight that the driver that cut him off fled the scene. They're still asking anyone who knows who that driver is to give them a call. We're live here in Tampa tonight. Michael Paluska, ABC Action News.
Yeah, that one was disturbing too. And then on top of that, he was able to survive primarily, I would think, probably because he had a seatbelt on, but the truck fell off the overpass onto the other freeway that was there below. And just mind-blowing, just taking those unnecessary chances. It's essentially the moral of the story here. But Xenia, anything from you guys? You guys want to speak on a few things? That's pretty much we're done with the distracted driving. And
yes, well, we don't want any of our drivers fall into those categories that we've been discussing today. So that's why we are reinforcing that much the distracted driving, because it can happen to anybody, like on a daily basis. So if you're done, it's okay if I start with the updates?
Sure.
Okay. It's in the agenda, and we divided with the FedEx updates and Lugmo Corp updates. For the FedEx updates in our last meeting over there in Ocala, it says that they are inviting the drivers to recognize the signs of fatigue to avoid accidents. They went ahead and they did that based on certain statistics that they already have. So I'm guessing that our next meeting will be based on driver fatigue. So to have that like a heads up, because it's been a concern. And they did a public company score, and they say that FedEx Ground fell into the safest company based on the safety records. They compare FedEx with UPS and Amazon. So, and FedEx was like the safest one. But still, there are some areas of concerns and more work to do in the area with the contractors and drivers with the vehicle maintenance, and drivers with the hours of service, and drivers conducting certain behaviors that provoke for the law enforcement to stop them. And that's why we did this meeting based on a distracting driver. They're saying that like eating, going too fast for conditions, speeding, construction zones are certain things that law enforcement will look at, and they will stop you, and that will provoke an inspection. And in this season, April, May, June, July, there's a lot of campaigns out there in different states trying to look at the drivers and see if there's anything that they are doing to provoke an inspection. In the number 3, item number 3, CSA data to the year to date, it says that inspections are going and tickets are going like 50-50 in the areas of inspection, and 50% are clean inspections, 50% results in a violation. So we need to really do a pre-trip, post-trip inspection to our equipment. And a lot of drivers are asking, because what we were doing the meeting, I was sending the driver vehicle inspection report. Please make sure that you complete that with the trailer, obviously, and take the trailer to the shop, and make sure the mechanic sign the document. We are adding like an extra bonus if that happens. You find something, a fault in the trailer, you just go and to the shop, notify, fix it, they sign it, give it to us, and we're going to give you a bonus because you are catching things. In terms of the tractor, you need to let us know before that tractor goes out. If there's something wrong with the tractor, let us know so we can change your tractor and you don't go out there with any problem. Okay. The other thing they are saying, it's because of the data. They are saying that 33% of the violations, it's been because of FedEx trailer. So they are gonna have issues and you need to catch them before you hit the road. 60% of the tickets, it's because of the driver not doing or not having the medical card, not having the lenses, the contact lens or the prescription glasses on. Silly things like headlights provoke an inspection. Then for Lugmo Corp updates, it says, we want to say thank you so much for everyone who has taken time to meet with us during this past month. Your information and your feedback is invaluable to us. Vacation time, please remember to let us know a month or two in advance and take advantage of that time off. You really need it. You really need to rest. Handbook and safety plan has been discussed and explained during those meetings. Please read the handbook and the safety plan and let us know if you have questions. And then, as I mentioned, we're adding more incentive when drivers show that they are safe and thorough. So we're going to give you more information about that, but that's like another way to say thank you for taking your job so seriously. And the 401k person is gonna start calling the people who qualify. That's another incentive and another way to say thank you to you guys. So any question at any time, please let us know. But most of all, please be safe and be aware of all the campaigns out there for inspections, okay? That's it, Aaron.
All righty. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, David. Thank you, Xenia, for your contributions. Definitely appreciate you guys. Everyone have a good one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.